What's up guys, it's me, TheWaggishAmerican here, and today I'm bringing you another model build video. Today I'm doing an interesting kit, the Arii plastic model Mitsubishi L3M1 Nihon Go. I probably butchered the pronunciation. As you can tell, I've not yet learned to speak Japanese. This is kind of an interesting kit. I got it for like $5 online. And at that price for a twin-engine bomber, I just couldn't say no. A little bit later, I was watching one of Rebels at Cloud 9's videos, and he mentioned that a lot of old LS models were repackaged by Arii. So, I'm excited about that. I've heard many great things about LS models. I know that they made a lot of older, more obscure Japanese aircraft, and for the time, their molding and engineering and the stuff they were doing was considered really nice. It'll be interesting to see how that's aged. I don't know for a fact if this is a repackaged LS models. I haven't been able to find anything about that. But for what it is, it's a very nice looking kit. Cracking it open, first thing is the decals. Interested to see how these go. They're really old. The white around these Hinumarus has become completely yellow, and you can probably see there's yellow tints on all the clear, so I'll have to bleach this while I'm building. Hopefully that'll work out. If it doesn't, I just got a circle cutter. That I've yet to try out, and this could be the perfect project to get doing that on. Instructions. Pretty nice. There's not a whole lot of detail in this kit. It's a fairly low parts count kit, but for what little detail there is, they explain it very well, and there's little left up to the guesswork. I have looked around a lot of the pieces, and I don't think alignment's going to be a major problem at all here. They give you 3 decal schemes, 2 in silver and 1 in Army colors. You get the Nihon Go itself, which there's a really famous picture of this. It's the one that's got the red stripe along the bottom. Then you get one called the Yamato. Kind of boring. And then you have the one in IJA green and IJA gray. Moving on to the kit parts, I have removed a bunch of these from the sprues. This was one of those projects where you get it, and then you cut some parts off, and you toy with it, and you put it back, and you toy with it. You look at shapes, you look at size, you try to build up the desire to build it, but you never really get around to it. That's what this kit has been for me for about 6 months. Now today, I'm planning on actually building it, which will be nice. Clear parts, not a lot of flash, and they are some extremely well-defined canopy lines. No problem at all masking that. Now, most of this isn't used, because there's another boxing of this, which is just a military version that has all the turrets and whatnot. This one, I don't know anything about this aircraft history, but it looks like the military version might be some sort of quickly converted cargo or totally fictitious scheme, because all the ones I've been able to see of this aircraft, the L3M, have been with all these blisters and stuff, but it's not provided in this version of this kit to do that to. Now here's the glass I've taken off the sprue, mainly just to see shapes and fit and stuff. And I can tell you right now, the fit is already really good on the glass. One thing that surprised me for how cheap this kit was is how just large it is. It's larger than the JU-88 I did. It's very large. It's probably about half the size, or a little bit more than half the size of my B-17. But fits pretty good. I have to shave up some of the lines. It's a very interesting shape. It's got a very bulbous nose. I like that a lot. But the canopy glass, unclean, this is just natural, sits right down where it's supposed to go and looks really good. So a little bit of novice and that'll really shine. What I find kind of interesting about this kit, it's definitely an old kit, but it must have been very nice in its day, because it kind of skimps on panel lines themselves, but it has hundreds of these rivets. Now usually with an old kit you get your extruded rivets because that's much easier to build a mold for. Every single one of these rivets is a divot. It goes into the plastic, that's pretty amazing to me. If you're going to do rivets, this is how you do rivets. It's pretty much more the same for all the other plastic, the gray plastic parts. Very little flash, no real sink marks or problems. It's very nicely molded, especially considering its age. Not a whole lot of small details, but kind of interesting. They provide a separate sprue molded in black. I guess they think you don't. I guess the idea is kind of like Matchbox. You don't necessarily have to paint it. Oh, this one makes more sense. You could pass off this kit plastic as a gray instead of a silver, and all the black parts are parts of the plane that would actually be black for the most part. The only thing looking at this kit I'm not a fan of, the way they did the engines. It's a cowl and then the engine detail sitting in there. I don't like it. I don't like this way of doing engines at all. It makes it virtually impossible to get in there and do any real detail painting or washes. It's really difficult because you have to be constantly trying not to mess up your paint around it itself. So that'll be a challenge in the build. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the kit. Now let's get started. As is typical with my builds, I began by constructing the cockpit. This area was pretty nice. There wasn't a whole lot of detail. There really wasn't any detail, but it filled the space well. There wasn't a ton of cleanup to do anywhere, except on a couple of the seats, but other than that, it fills the space. I didn't detail it or anything this time. I just wanted to build this plane. I really wanted to practice black basing as a method of pre-shading on a larger surface than the rocket I tried. I'm gearing up for a couple of very large projects. I glued everything in and then sprayed the cockpit surface XF71 cockpit green. I really like this color for not only Japanese stuff, but basically anything that isn't chromate green. This is my default cockpit color. I also sprayed the inside of the fuselage. In hindsight, I ended up wasting quite a bit of paint. Just a little bit of black right on the floor would have been fine because you can't see through the windows at all. I went through and hand painted the control panel flat black, and then went and picked out those other small black details in the cockpit. This was with Vallejo flat black. This is how I do seatbelts lately. This is it's like medical tape. It's a cloth texture. Sticks really well. Haven't had any problems with it, and makes very convincing seatbelts. I did try to weather it up a little bit with just a little bit of dry brushing over all the surfaces with light gray. This is a technique I like. It makes the large flat surfaces come to life more. Just adds a little bit of wear into the color. Makes it look less clean. I dry brushed the control panel to bring out the dials and proceeded to glue the panel into the fuselage. Once the panel had been glued into the fuselage, I proceeded to glue in the cockpit floor. All of this fit very well and did not really lead to any major gaps, which was nice. As you can see, there are a lot of ejection pin marks on the inside that I didn't bother cleaning up. I used white glue to stick in the windows. I had previously masked these windows off, so I just slotted them right into the holes, and it worked out well. With that, I was able to glue the two fuselage sides together. They were held together as I applied Tamiya liquid cement. Here I'm painting silver. I couldn't find any references for what color these wheel wells actually were, and I don't have anything that can replicate Owataki right now, so I just painted them silver and called it a day, because you can't really see it in there that much. This was Tester's Metallic Silver Enamel, which is my personal favorite silver paint. The landing gear setup was really cool. It's, despite how old it is, it's a very well-functioning retracting system. The gear itself is not glued in, but it stays firm when it's extended. To tack the wing down while I use the liquid glue, I first used the little dabs of Humbrol glue in the locators and then proceeded to glue along the roots. With the wings gluing, I proceeded to work on the tail planes. These were done with super glue, as the locator pins were very small, and I was afraid that they'd get broken off some point during painting. Overall, these were nice parts. They fit fairly well and didn't really require any cleanup. With the wings done, I proceeded to attach the engine cowlings. A little bit of a pain because the engines are not separate pieces, and so I had to paint them in situation before I went on to paint anything else. Once those were attached, I started attaching the last bits of the major components, the wings and tailplanes, with super glue. I touched up the wing roots with liquid cement, using the sanding dust to create little filler. I finished adding the bits of engine detail to the cowls and under the nacelles. As well as adding the exhaust pipe on each side. The ailerons in this aircraft are interesting. They are suspended apart from the wing. After spraying the aircraft with primer, I applied white glue around the edge of the cockpit and put the masked cockpit down. One of these days I'm planning on doing a video about how I mask cockpits, but it's too up close for me to record with my current setup. Before I started painting anything else, I sprayed over the canopy area with the XF71 so that when looking through the glass it would look proper on the inside. Then I went on to paint the engines. I basically just slathered them up with the metallic silver and later ran Tamiya liquid, the Panaline wash. I decided not to use any of the kit decals fairly early on, so I went and sprayed a white base for the yellow leading edge bits. I'm not quite sure what they're called. Let me know in the comments if you know. Once the white had dried, I sprayed some of the Tamiya just flat yellow. I like this yellow. It might be a bit too yellow, not orange enough for this function, but overall it's a very nice color. Then began my first real test of the black basing technique. I went over the entire model, spraying Vallejo flat black. In the future, once I finish a couple builds I'm working on, I plan on getting just black primer as opposed to the gray primer I've got right now to make this whole process a lot easier. For more information on the basic concept of black basing, I'll have a link in the description to the website that gave me the idea to try it. I had to spray the the Hinomarus, so I based with white and then hit it with the XF7 flat red. Here you can see how I'm doing the black basing idea. I'm basically going in and filling each panel line, each panel with the color, in this case XF14JA gray. Once that's done, I lightly brush over it several times, and it just leaves a hint of dark in the panels where I didn't spray. Here I'm doing the same thing to the left wing, but with XF13JA green. This is the same concept, although it's much more difficult to see with the green as opposed to the gray. I'm still trying to find a better way to make darker colors respond better to this technique. While that was drying, I painted silver on some other small internal pieces. I began to work on the wheels. I just hand brushed flat black on all of these. I could have left them stock. They came out looking pretty good. The wheels, or the tires, the wheels themselves were hand painted with the tester's metallic silver enamel. I attached the wheels to the tires with Tamiya liquid cement and then proceeded to attach the whole assembly to the landing gear legs with super glue. The last couple of bits, I attached the gear door and the antenna with super glue. Hey guys, TheWaggishAmerican here. This is the end of the video. I'm trying something new. Some of these larger projects are pretty difficult to photograph, so thought I'd do a little video. The color, you may see the colors changing. It's the brightness adjusting. It's really hard for me to get an accurate representation of colors when it comes to my recording, especially with final pictures, which is one of the reasons that I'm trying this new thing. So this is the finished model. I just knocked something off. I gotta put that back on. Did you like this video? If so, be sure to hit the like button. If you'd like to see more, it'd be great if you could smash that subscribe button. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.